Hi, I'm Audra Kerr Brown.
And I am Constance Malloy.
And together we are the Flashtronauts.
Flashtronauts. Woohoo! And we're back. We're out of space dock because my friend Audra is feeling better now. And I'm so happy.
Finally, yes. I had Lyme disease of all things. Thought I had COVID for a while, but that test was negative. And then I did have the bullseye bite on the back of my leg. So I didn't see it for a while. It was like in this weird spot. And my husband saw it. And so went to the hospital. I had a high fever. And I was really sick for about 4 days. And then really felt bad for about a month, really, afterwards.
Yeah.
So it had me down and out. But
yes,
I'm back.
She's back. And now our little Pumudicus is out in space again. And
yes, so thank you for joining us and sticking with us, and hopefully we could be regular from here on out.
Yes.
So tonight we have a special story to read.
Yes.
By Melissa Llanes Brownlee, and her story is going to be featured in, or was featured in, Milk Candy Review back on July 16th of 2020, and it's called, I don't have the title right in front of me, To Ever Love One Girl, which is an intriguing title.
Yes.
But I want to talk just a little bit about Milk Candy Review.
Sure.
It's an excellent literary magazine online. It was started up by Cathy Ulrich. And if you know Cathy Ulrich, if you're in the flash fiction world at all, you had to have come across her name multiple times.
Yes.
A, because she's an amazing writer, and B, she is a stalwart champion of micro and flash. She's always sharing other people's stories on Twitter, and she's always lifting other people's stories up and other people's books. And she doesn't really talk about her own work very often. And like in her Twitter feed, sometimes I have to go down really far to find out what she's published recently, because she's always just sharing other people's writing. She's just awesome. And Milk Candy Review is a really good magazine to get into. She treats your story really well. Like sometimes you might get accepted into a magazine and you know they must have liked it because they're accepting it, but you don't hear much of why they liked it, or they don't really tell you how much they liked it. But Cathy will tell you what she liked about it, and she'll tell you how much she just gushes over other people's writing, and it makes you feel really appreciated to be published by her. And actually, people talk all the time on Twitter about how nice she is with her declinations, or her rejections are so nice, and she's always talking about thanking people for letting her read their stories, and just giving such encouragement, which a lot of writers need. And it takes a lot of time to do that. I mean, we're editors at New Fiction Review, and we know that making those personal emails is something we just can't afford to do right now, because we're just volunteers and we have other things, and there's so many submissions that it's just impossible for us to do personal rejections, which maybe we can someday. I know we're all writers, and we all love personal rejections, or we hate rejections, but it's just nice when they're personal, when you get them.
Yeah.
And I hope we can do that someday, but we're not at that spot where we can do that. But Cathy does. And
Candy, I love that she always does the 2 questions.
Yes, she does.
And
she publishes a story every Thursday. And then I think the following week, like on Tuesday, she does the 2 questions, which is a good follow-up, and gets more readership also. She doesn't do the questions on the same day, which I think is pretty genius, that she stretches it out. And, people missed it on Thursday, then they may see it on Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I really like that.
Okay, so Melissa Llanes Brownlee is a native Hawaiian writer. She lives in Japan. I'm just adding this on my own. Right now, she teaches, I believe, English in Japan. She received her MFA in fiction from UNLV. Her work has appeared in Booth, a journal, the Notre Dame Review, Pleiades, the Citron Review, and elsewhere. She was the finalist for the 2018 New American Fiction Prize and the 2019 Bright Horse Prize. And I know there's been others in there. This is a little older bio, sorry, Melissa. But I know that she is in the best Small Fictions 2021.
And she knows that because so is Audra.
And our stories are going to be right next to each other, which
That's
I'm really
so
excited about
great.
that because
Yeah.
I'm obviously a big fan of Melissa's.
Yes.
And I think the story that we're going to read tonight, it was my first story I had read of hers. And it just is one that's just lingered in my mind since it was published. And she's one of those writers that whenever I see she has something out, I get really excited about. And I'm like, okay, I got to
Yes.
make time, stop. I'm going to read
Yep.
Melissa's story right now because she's just that good. And she's really good at micro,
Yes.
the small pieces.
Mhm.
And I'll talk more after you read the story, but
Okay, so I am going to read To Ever Love One Girl. And Melissa, there's a recorded reading of her on my blog at constancemalloy.com. And it's such a great reading that there's no way I can do it that well. So anyway, To Ever Love One Girl. Cousin got whipped with the watering hose in the backyard so the neighbors couldn't see. Uncle, when he catch her kissing one girl in town. He looped the hose and beat her over and over, slower than the sun beating her ehu hair into a matted mess on her scalp. I know get one lesbian for one daughter. You're never going to see that girl again. You going to church, you going for pray. Each sentence a looped mark on her naked skin as he pulled her pants down and she tried to cover herself, crying and pleading. No, please, I'm not one lesbian. I never kissed her. The heavy smack of that green snake shimmering in the sun, empty of water and engorged with hate, filled the yard as we cousins and sisters watched Uncle. His red brown skin and salty peppery hair, his fisherman's arms teach us that it's better to lie and to not be beaten, and to suffer the drowning beneath the waves of beer and cigarette breathed fathers and uncles and cousins and brothers, our flesh torn by coral-lined rocks as we tumble and toss, submitting to their little deaths, than to ever love one girl. Oh, it's just such a powerful little piece of writing that it's the thing that, well, really good writing always does this, right? This is very painful and it's so beautiful at the same time. And it's the rhythm of reading it is great. The language is great. One of the things I love about this, which I talked about in my blog, is that you're watching this happen with the girls who are watching it happen. Everybody's a witness. And I think that's just so.
Except the neighbors.
Except for the neighbors, because we hit it.
But the family is.
Yeah.
And you're right. I was just going to say that. It's like sometimes you read a flash and the language is gorgeous and the writing is gorgeous, but the story may be okay.
Yeah.
This one we have a really interesting story, and it's written so well that it just is magic. It's magic. This is the kind of story that is just magic. And one thing I have noticed about Melissa's writing that I love, and it's a marker of a good writer, is she jumps right into the story. I mean, her first lines put you right where the story is and where you need to be. She doesn't mess around. And I think that's, if you're studying flash fiction and microfiction, you should take note of that.
Yeah.
And how she launches you in. Like, so we talk a lot about on here about reading submissions for a new flash fiction review. Mm-hmm. And we do notice that, like, a lot of times people could just take off that first paragraph.
Right.
Do a lot of background and too much build up. With flash fiction, you really don't need that. You just need to do what she did and just start where the story is. And trust your reader to understand.
Right. Yeah. And there is such a pace, right? And it has to be a quick pace. And so when you include a paragraph like that has this slow beginning, first off, you immediately feel like you're reading a longer piece anyway. And by the time you get into the flash should be over in many ways. And I really, the last contest that we read for, the recent contest, there was, I mean, that's the power or the benefit of being a reader too, is that you start to see these things and you're like, oh, I need to be aware of that in my own writing. And first lines seem to really start to hit me in that contest. That like there were some that it's like, man, you got me and you kept me. Or then there's the other ones that you pick it up like through the middle of the story and then it's just too late.
Yeah, and she does
Yeah.
it well. She does it well in all her stories, just
She does.
dropping us right where we need to be. And to say the ending on this one is amazing as well.
Yes.
Just every little bit in this story is right on and just
Yes.
amazing and so crushing and beautiful, like you said. And
it's a perfect last line as title. It works so well in this one.
Yes.
To bring you back to what that title is really telling you.
What it means.
So great.
Yeah.
And the phrasing of it is just to ever love one girl. It's just good. You did good, Melissa. If you're listening, you did good.
Yes. And if I had to pick, I guess, one sentence out, which hard to do, but I just love that the heavy smack of that green snake shimmering in the sun, empty of water and engorged with hate.
Yeah.
The yard as we cousins and sisters watched Uncle, his red-brown skin and salty, peppery hair, and it just goes on.
Yeah.
So from there on out, it's just.
And
go ahead.
The empty hose engorged.
Engorged.
With an emotion, it's just, that's a great contrast there. Oh, yes. So we did, I shot off a couple questions to Melissa and she sent us some answers for those.
Okay. So I will read them and you could answer them.
I'll give her answers. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we asked her, what is the greatest challenge being a writer to you? What's the biggest challenge?
She says, confidence in myself and in my work. Imposter syndrome is a huge problem for me. I think it is for most, if not all writers. Some days my confidence level is high enough or a rejection won't send me into a depression spiral, but other days there isn't enough to pull me out of it. I think she's right on target there with a lot of people for that. Do you have a thing that's a big challenge for you, Audra?
I think mine is, it's not quite the confidence thing. And not that I'm confident about it. I'm not at all. But my biggest ones, because that is one of mine, is just more trusting myself as I'm writing, trusting the story, trusting the process. I want to get ahead of it sometimes. I want to.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I want to know everything about it, and I'm not really a plotter. I don't know if you can plot Flash anyway. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't.
Exactly.
But I do like to kind of know. I talk about stories. For me, people are like, how do you write your stories? And I've come to know, at least for me, everyone's different. Every story, the way it's written for me is different. It's not the same every time. It's kind of like having babies, it's the birds are different. These stories are different. Like sometimes, rarely, I can just write it straight through and it's pretty much done. It's only happened a couple of times. It's really a torturous process for me. But part of it is because I think I don't trust.
Got it.
That I'm going to even write something or come up with something. And it's like starting all over for me. It's like every time I have to write a story, I get like, I don't know if I can do this again. I don't know. I don't know if this will happen again.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Yeah. What about you?
I would have to say at the moment, focus. Because I heard a writer once, I don't remember who it was, but she's like, if I walk into a bar, I can't listen to the people talking because I will leave with 10 stories from hearing conversations. And I'm that way. Like I can go out and take a walk and I will see something and I'll be like, oh my gosh. And then it could become this. And then it's like, I'm getting better at just coming home and writing down the idea and letting it go. But I get I just get overwhelmed with that. And I have 2 longer projects that I'm working on. And so it's like, I kind of just need to be able to keep, sometimes I'm like, I just need to not be out in the world, but I like being out in the world. But yeah, so it's kind of, it's a focus thing for me right now. And yeah. And then I go on Twitter, right? And then somebody's like, oh, we've got this, special sub. And I'm like, I want to write something for that. And
I'm always
like,
writing these places down and getting, I think, oh, I'm going to do all this. And yeah, it gets you away from your work in progress a lot of times.
Right.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yes.
Okay, the next question. Who are those writers, living or dead, who you turn to for inspiration and guidance?
And
Melissa
she
says,
I think who has been the most influential to all of my writing, not just Flash, has been Jamaica Kincaid, especially with Girl, and Sandra Cisneros, sorry, with her wonderful The House on Mango Street. These writers helped me to see that my writing didn't need to conform to the standard, that I could talk about my life in Hawaii using my own language and culture. I didn't need to be restricted. Since I started focusing on Flash, I would say Kathy Fish for sure. She is a Flash goddess. To be honest, Twitter has allowed me to see this amazing world of Flash, and there are so many writers I read and enjoy and learn from. I am constantly signing up for workshops with the writers I admire when I can afford them.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But those writers she mentioned, yeah, are amazing. Girl, yes. You hear, Girl, that story echoes a lot through modern Flash. You can hear echoes of it in people's writing today. And I think that one was written back in the 70s before Flash was Flash.
Yeah.
So good. And I recently read Sandra Cisneros just in the last couple years. I don't know why. I hadn't really read her before. And she's amazing.
Yeah. And I'm certain that I read Mango Street, but years ago. And I feel like it's like, so not, I need to go reread it again. Because I don't
You have new eyes now that you're in the Flash world and writing Flash. I'm sure it'll mean something totally different to you than it did.
Yes, I think so. Because really, I still feel very, very new to this whole Flash scene. Yeah. So who do you turn to, Audra? Who do you?
My inspirations. I'm going to talk about more long form writers. Because there's too many Flash writers that I get inspiration from. I couldn't list them all, but long form writers like Flannery O'Connor is a big one for me. Angela Carter is also a big one for me. So I feel like I'm a blend of those two. Okay. And more recent writers, Karen Russell. When I read her collection of short stories when it came out, it's been a while now, maybe 2010, I want to say. I had been writing stories, but I didn't feel like I want to say had permission to write them, or I didn't see anybody else writing the stories that I wanted to write. And when I read her collection, I was like, oh, okay, we can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I wouldn't even call it, from myself, magical realism, but a little bit of magical realism. Yeah. And she did it so well, and that really gave me permission for my own stories.
Awesome. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
To free something up that you feel like isn't that funny that it's like we do feel like we need permission to that what's in there that we want to express, especially if we haven't seen it out around us, then we really feel like, well, I guess I can't do that because nobody's doing it, so then you see someone which is Flannery O'Connor for me. She's one of my she and William Faulkner, when I was in high school and I read those two, I was like, oh my God. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm like, wow, people who these two would understand my life. If I sat down and told them my life, these two would get it. But I saw that there was a way to take these just wild symbols that were around me everywhere and do something with them that wouldn't just leave it inside, which is nice, and kind of looked at the world the way I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see Flannery O'Connor in your writing. Definitely, the grotesque
Yeah.
is there for you,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. I think I need to read more William Faulkner. I read it in high school, and I need to read it again, or need to read him again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where should I start with him? What should I read?
I think my favorite book of his is Absalom. It is just in part because it is about this father destroying his family, like just, and so it paralleled my life. And, but it's just a really, I mean, The Sound and the Fury is a great book. It's a hard one to get through. Just because you really have to trust the man, that you will come out the end of his book and know what that book was about. Because while you're reading it, you're not quite so sure. And so if you just keep going, you get there. I do want to say one, George Saunders, he came out with his craft book, which is great. But right after that, I read Lincoln in the Bardo. Oh my goodness, that is such a great book. And it is one of those things too, of just doing this whole different thing with fiction. And it's like, wow, it's just to have the confidence to do that and not look back and
to do it and to pull it off.
Yeah, maybe before I leave this earth once, right? That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're still with us, please go check out Melissa Llanes Brownlee and her work. She is, in my book, she's pretty prolific. I mean, it seems like she is turning some stuff out, and it makes me happy because there's always seems like something on the horizon to read.
Exactly.
So please check her out. Please check out Milk Candy Review. Please check out Cathy Ulrich, and she's very active on Twitter as well. So I mean, if you don't know them by now, you need to know.
Right. Yes. Very good.
All righty. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Stay safe, and we'll see you next time on
The Flashtronauts. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.